Great evening, everyone. Welcome to Jono's Late Chat Show. And today I have a very special guest with me. I have a good friend, Esmond Shen from UIU, Tekken, eSports game player, UI, UX designer.
yeah, UI, UX designer, yeah.
Great to have you here, bro.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you for having me. Good to be here.
I was going back how long we've known each other now.
I'll say probably a good 3-4 years.
It's 5 years.
Is it 5 years? Has it been that long?
5 years already.
Oh my god, that's like half a decade we've known each other. My god.
Yeah, I know. It's like I was going back on the messages. Like, how long have I known Esmond for? I was like, oh, it's been 5 years. I was like, time's flown by.
It has flown by, hasn't it? Yeah, especially this year, especially with the pandemic and everything, it's just flown by really, really quickly, hasn't it? It just doesn't even feel real that all of a sudden we're now in December in 2020 and we're now going into 2021. It still hasn't quite sunk in yet.
This year's been robbed. I say that. Need a refund.
Yeah, I agree. I just couldn't believe this has happened. You know, like it still hasn't, for me, like it just feels this whole thing is just unreal, how it just all happened all of a sudden. Like 1 minute I was in, like 1 month I was in Amsterdam with my workmates, you know, like basically we just had like this massive work trip there, right? Like entire crew was there. We come home, then all of a sudden we've been told by our officers that, right, we're all working from home now. We're like, okay, what's going on? Oh, it's the whole COVID thing. And I've not been in the office since March.
Serious?
Seriously. We're like, I'm not even seeing my workmates since March either. It's been that long.
Apart from Zoom calls.
Zoom calls, yeah, or Blue Jeans or Google Hangouts and stuff like that. So everything's all done remotely.
Yeah.
I guess like I'm lucky in that regard that, like, you know, my line of work benefits from working at home. So, you know, a lot of the stuff that I work on is predominantly online or on the computer and stuff like that. So I guess I can still carry on doing what I need to.
Yeah.
But I know it's impacted a lot of people that I know at work. I know there are people that are within like customer services, that people that need to be there, you know, people that have to do more manual work. Unfortunately, you know, they're not as lucky. It's quite sad to see quite a lot of people go, and it's not only just like where I'm working, but it's impacted a lot of businesses everywhere. And just seeing people that I know losing their jobs is quite depressing, isn't it? You know.
Oh, I'm one of those.
What? Oh, sorry. Oh, no way.
It's cool, bro. I lost mine in July. I think. Yeah, it was end of July.
All right. So is this what you're doing like full time now? Is it?
Kind of. I've kind of switched. I always had this going on the side anyway, so I was quite fortunate with the whole coaching and digital marketing stuff. And we got some guests here as well. Kirsty and Robin from Coaching for Geeks.
Nice.
Some fellow gamers and streamers are watching. Yeah, I got made redundant end of July. Because also the business that I was working with, also in hospitality.
In hospitality, is it?
And
so I know they just reopened everything, haven't they? Well, they're allowing people to go shopping and stuff like that. I think pubs and gyms are now open again, and hospitality, is that still unavailable?
It's still heavy hit, like really bad. So I think it's going to take a year or two before they get back on their feet properly.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that at the moment. Yeah, I can't keep up with all these rules, and then I heard that you're allowed to have 3 households in one place to celebrate Christmas. So that's kind of very confusing as well. Like we spent the whole year trying to avoid each other, not see family, not see people. Then all of a sudden, like for Christmas, you're gathering 3 households together, but one household potentially could have up to 5 people, maybe, you know, like when you have a mum and a dad, children, and then you times that by 3 into one household. You know, I just feel it's a bit of a dangerous move. But however,
it's so confusing, and no one knows what's going to go on. But let's go away from that topic.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the more of the normal stuff. Back to how I met you, bro. Like 5 years ago, you was still Tekken player. You was doing your events.
Yes.
Or your gaming Tekken tournaments. That's what you was doing.
Yeah. So
and then now you become a full like UIU representative for eSports.
Yes. So I first started, playing games. I think computer games it's been part of my childhood for such a long time, anyways. And I know quite a lot of people do say like, as you're over 30, why would you still be playing games and stuff like that? But there's kind of like a story behind that. I feel computer games or gaming in general was a way for me to get closer to my family. So my mum and dad used to work in a takeaway, right? And whenever it's not busy, my dad will sneak upstairs to play Mario Kart with me and my brother. It was like a family bonding moment. And then like on Christmas Day, my brother and my dad will try and we'll buy a new game just for Christmas Day, and we'll spend the entire Christmas Day trying to complete it. So we probably went through God knows how many stages. We almost completed Donkey Kong in one night. You know what I mean? Like on Christmas. This was back in 1994. So, and I remember we were on another game called Street Racer for some time. We played a lot of Street Fighter as well. And
your dad was playing with you. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't play as much now. My brother doesn't either. He doesn't play much computer games either. I think he just plays FIFA when he can. But I think for me, it was it was a memorable family moment. If you know what I mean, it's something that I held quite dear. But I still continue to play. Then it evolved into, instead of family moments, evolved more competitively. And I guess when I first entered a few tournaments in a game called Tekken, right? I entered a tournament in Tekken in Manchester. I did pretty well at it. I was getting consistent top 8s. Then I slowly get into top 4. Then I was winning local tournaments as well. And then we went to a place called Gamer Base, right? And it was where all the gamers used to hang out. And that's been there for about 3-4 years, and then all of a sudden that place has completely closed down, and then there's been nowhere in Manchester where you can gather up and play games offline. And for me, it's the social aspect of it. It's the fact that I get to attend an event and be around like-minded people. And I think it's also the competitiveness as well, because sometimes online you don't really get the same experience, because you sometimes may have the lag, and you don't have that I think that hype, I suppose, and I think the event side of things, it just had that atmosphere, that buzz that I really liked about it. And because there was no events going on, I decided to take it upon myself with a friend called Ying, who was my housemate at the time. Me and him, we established something called Manchester Battle Arena, where we decided to host events all over Manchester. We invested in a lot of PlayStations. We invested on monitors. we even hired out loads of different venues. And then we actually, almost had a really good business model going with it as well. Do you know what I mean? And then we were the first, I think, Northwest gaming scene to be sponsored by Bandai Namco, the creators of the game Tekken. And then in turn, we got sponsored by Capcom, who created Street Fighter. Then we got sponsored by Warner Brothers, who created Mortal Kombat. And then we ran events, all these big events for these established gaming developers. And then our last event that we ran was for Tekken 7, which we ran in Arcade Club in what was it called? In Bury, Manchester. And that had over, I think, 90 to 100 people. I think it was everybody. There were loads of people from Birmingham, London, even Scotland came all the way for that event. And then I decided to stop doing events now. I really wanted to focus on playing professional and just try to, try my hand out in playing competitively rather than focusing on events. Because running events, there was a lot of admin work. There was a lot of business management, also logistics, and I didn't really get the time that I wanted to really focus on the game. I spent more time doing that stuff, and I did everything from scratch, whether it be designing the website, the branding, the merch, all that stuff. Selling jerseys as well, and we did really, really well. Manchester Ballerina. It became quite a recognised brand, but I decided to take a step back from it all and handed it over to a bunch of younger gamers to try and run it, but because of the pandemic, nothing's going on with it now. And I think the last event they ran was probably 2 years ago. And then that was quite successful. I think they had over like 200 odd players, but it's just the timing thing. I think we're all getting older now. We don't have as much time to, run events and organize these type of things. It takes a lot of our time.
Not unless you do it full time.
Yeah, because we all have jobs. We all have full-time jobs, but this is like a part-time thing that we did.
Yeah.
Something that we did for the love of the game, for the love of the community as well. However, we decided to, when I decided to part ways with it, I think, everyone decided to do their own thing as well. So I decided to try my hand playing competitively. And I didn't do too bad at it, to be honest with you. I joined a team called Rise Gaming. I think they're sponsored by MSI as well. So I went to Amsterdam as well to enter the Tekken World Tour Finals. I didn't do too well at that, but I did really well, like the events after that, whether it be in Leeds, be in London, I performed pretty well. Then I kind of had to stop that as well because I was going through some personal mental issues at the time. I was going through.
How did you get on with that?
What's that?
Hang on a sec. Let's address some comments first.
I can't see the comments. Hang on.
You not see the comments?
Oh yeah, no, I see him. Yeah.
Kirsty, he has a nice accent too. Perfect. you really got fans.
All right, thank you. Thanks for the comments.
Working at 825 jobs. Ooh, Jesse is in the house. He is updating day one patch for Cyberpunk.
Oh,
anyway,
no way.
How did you get on with the mental health stuff? Because I know we had the conversation about it on MS.
Yeah. So I was going through quite a tough time, and for the last 2 years, I think there's no secret that I was going through a bit of a divorce. And then I think living in a house where which you bought with your ex-partner and being trapped in a pandemic through that as well was quite a struggle. And selling a house through a pandemic was quite a struggle as well. There was a lot going on at that time, which is why I completely stopped playing competitively for that time. So I was going through that, and then I decided to focus on getting a sponsorship, but not in the competitive area, but for more of a community member in terms of being a designer, or whether it be someone that works within the business of esports. I thought that might suit me better because I don't think I could. I don't have the time. Unfortunately, I just don't have the mental capacity and the time to play so competitively. There's so many players out there that are just really good now. I would say that I'm one of the top players in the Northwest at the moment, but when you're playing against really young players that are from down south, and then you have Korean players, you have the Americans as well, you have the Japanese players, and now you have Pakistan as well. There's so many different nations now getting so good at the game. It's just really hard to keep up. And it's also really hard to keep up with that kind of content as well, because there's so many good players producing content. So I had to come up with a different way, for me to get recognition within the esports area. And the one thing that I had over everyone else, over the people that I know, was my main job, which is a UX designer, but also have graphic design skills, in the background. And I decided to, try my hand out, so I decided just to sort of try my marketing expertise, because I did that for Manchester Battle Arena. I thought, well, why not try it in, for myself? So I started freelancing. I started, working with influencers, professional gamers, creating their stream overlays, helping them brand themselves and stuff like that. Then I got noticed by UIU. So UIU approached me, and they're a really, really established esports company. and I got on really well with their CEO as well. So we had the same sort of business ethos. We had the sort of same mentality when it comes to esports, and she's a very well recognized business lady from Korea. So she's like, she's just spot on. She just knew what she was doing, because like there were a lot of esports brands, esport companies out there, but they're kind of like ran by community members, and they're not very profitable. But she was very, very business minded, and it was like what drew me into working with them. And here I am working with some of the top players within the world for Tekken, and I'm also working with one of the best Gears of War teams, Call of Duty teams in the world. So I'm working with internationally, not just in my local area now. So I'm actually creating work for people all over the world, which is a great thing for me. And it's also good for the portfolio, good for my personal recognition. So I'm not being recognized as just, Shen, the Tekken player. I'm being recognized as Shen as someone that is, that has credibility within the esports space as well.
You're growing your personal brand.
Yeah.
Slowly. You're growing your personal brand, right?
Am I growing my personal brand? Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, still trying to grow my personal brand. But at the moment, I'm just spending a lot of my time, working with UIU and just focusing on my day job at the moment. So
we'll have a conversation later about helping you grow your brand.
Sure.
That's exactly what I've been doing with a lot of entrepreneurs and coaches, and also business owners as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is not just moving them online into business, but also increasing their visual online social visibility.
Mm-hmm. So do you design assets for them as well, like their websites, or
more of the digital assets? So like the podcasts,
mm-hmm.
The website and all those, whatever needs to get them more visibly recognized and visible.
Nice. Yeah, it's kind of what I do, but I work on the more visual side of things. And I think, now that I work within UX, I've started to work more holistically rather than just like designing what looks good. I mean, there's a massive difference between, working as a graphic designer and as a UX designer. And I think not very many people seem to understand what a UX designer is. I have to sort of explain it a little bit sometimes, especially, when you... So say that again.
It's still quite new for many people.
Yeah, definitely.
People are only still just about starting to understand digital marketing.
Yeah.
Like everyone's still thinking about their digital transformation and all those. It's like it's been around for the last 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yet still, like, I don't know, 70% of the businesses still struggle with digital marketing.
I agree.
So UI and UX is still something that would be like wrapped around the heads.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that, because every time I work for a new company and stuff like that, they basically just give me the job to sort of do an audit, of their websites or their products and stuff like their services. And it's my job to sort of look at the whole thing, how their product works from a holistic point of view, rather than just like, how it looks and how it feels. And I think that was the next step that I wanted to take. When I was working as a graphic designer, I just kind of stopped looking at things from from a page by page level, decided to start looking at things as a whole. Like how does this interact? How would the user use this service? Is the service going to fulfill what the user needs? You know what I mean? Is it going to fulfill what they want it? Do they want it to do what it want it to do? And what are the pain points, that kind of stuff. And and I think that was what generated my interest in UX, is understanding the wider spectrum of what is it that a customer needs, what is it that a user needs in order to fulfill the need. And I think I just got bored of just doing pretty pictures as a graphic designer. I just didn't feel it was, I mean, great, I can use Photoshop, I can use all the Adobe packages and stuff like that. I can create cool looking trailers and all that stuff. But for me, I felt something was missing. It didn't feel like it was really fulfilling what I wanted. And I really wanted to get more involved in the business strategy in terms of forward planning, strategy, and stuff like that. And then that's where UX came into it, and it's become like before it was like such a small thing. It was like a very niche thing, user experience. That's what UX stands for. But however, like nearly every company are now wanting UX designers left, right, and center. And since I joined, very.co.uk at the time as a UX designer, my LinkedIn this has been going off. You know what I mean? I literally had to switch off notifications because I think not everybody has a definitive sort of explanation of what UX is, but it's kind of great to see that it's a booming, it's a growing space, and I think it's still going to keep growing because like everything. Yeah, because everything's digital now, to be honest with you. So I can't see it like going away anytime soon.
No, they very much UI and UX works hand in hand with the digital marketing teams. Like they need to be working more together anyway, because there's so much psychology behind designs, the layout, the strategy, the customer journey.
Of course, yeah.
So when you work your esports journey, bro.
Yeah.
Are you gonna head back into it properly once you get back into a better space?
You mean do it full time?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people do ask me that.
Because you inspire me because you actually took the route to try and go for esports. I gave up when I chased corporate instead. I chased it for my professional career instead.
Yeah.
Because of the whole, for us, right? Doctor, lawyers, accountant, the next best thing is corporate. And I was chasing that corporate career ladder. And I gave up gaming to go into chasing that career. And obviously once I got that career, I was like empty, unfulfilled, and unhappy. I was just like, shit. This is the wrong choice. And I gave up gaming to pursue that.
I guess for me, I quite like the security of having a full-time job, but at the same time, I don't want to let go of the the esports side of things as well. So I do it on my spare time. I do devote some hours to it as well. It's something that I enjoy. Like how people enjoy football, or whether they enjoy watching, reality TV. That's like my hobby. It's not just my hobby. It's now become part of my lifestyle, part of my career as well. Esports. I still get comments like sort of you're a bit old to be playing games, or you're a bit old to be within the esports space. But what esports or gaming in general is growing. It's still growing. It's become like one of the biggest mediums out there. If not probably more than TV, in my opinion. Look how much Twitch has grown as well. That so many people start viewing Twitch now, and I think it's a space that's worth tapping into. And for me, as I said, it has a sentimental value to me as well. Gaming. With the memories of my brother and my dad that we used to play games, but. I think that's why I stuck with it. I still feel it's a big part of me that I'm not willing to let go yet. Whether I'm going to go full time on it or not is another question. I think I will still carry on the way I am because it's more sustainable doing it this way. But if I was to go full time in esports, then I think I'll need to be sponsored by a really big esports brand. You know what I mean? But at the moment, I'm happy where I am with UIU. The great, great to work with. They give me so much merch. Do you know what I mean? Like they really look after me. They're willing to sort of help me travel to places that I've not been to before. So they sort of fund my travels. They give me the latest equipment, the latest merch. To help me. Help me with my content as well. And they're sponsored by Astro Gaming, and Astro Gaming is like a really, really big brand in gaming, with their headsets, with their merch as well, their new clothing line. I get that as part of the package as well. But I think the main thing for me is the opportunity to travel. is a big thing for me. You know, being a part of UIU, it's allowing me the ability to go see places that I've never seen before, and to be meeting community members from all over the world. So it's brilliant, and I can't fault it. I just love it.
That's the next thing for me. If I was to go back into full time, it would have to be a gaming company.
Yeah,
it definitely has to be back into a gaming company, because I gave up the whole trying to be like an esports player into as like chasing that corporate career. But I'd rather probably go back into a company where it is actually just gaming, or at least marketing gaming games or something. I don't know. Who knows?
So, what games did you play?
I was Pro Evolution Soccer.
Oh, really?
So I was really, really good at that, and then I was debating whether to take it like into tournaments and stuff, but I never pursued it because I was so thinking about chasing the graduating and then going to that job.
Right.
And then obviously climb up that ladder, and then obviously just didn't follow through with it, and now kind of kick myself for not doing it. But now it's like, I want to go back into at least, which is why I've been helping coaching streamers as well instead. As of recent, a bit more helping streamers, coaching on mindset and more self-discovery processes. So help with their mental health, values, what they stand for, what they're going through, what kind of content they're creating, who they are, finding more about who they are as a person online and the person offline, but helping them with content as well, because there's so many people that don't know who they are and create content that's not really them.
Yeah, I think that's the issue these days. It's like you don't want to. I think you just got to understand who your target audience is. I think a lot of people seem to produce the same content that other great content creators are creating already, and I think that's where you start feeling like you're not going to get the followers, you're not going to get the views that you want. So for me personally, I get quite a few views in Tekken, luckily. I have good connections with some Tekken players, and they sometimes host their channel, host my channel through their channel. So I get their views as well, which is good. However, if I was to stream at the same time as a really well-known player, then I'm going to lose all my viewers to that person, because he obviously spends more time at the game. He's more experienced at the game. So there's got to be something that I can produce that is a bit different to his, you know what I mean? So this is where I started doing more sort of design content in my channel as well, where I start teaching people how to create their own content in terms of using Photoshop and stuff like that. Or do you want to spruce up your Twitch channel? Do you want to create like a better Twitter banner and stuff like that? There's some tips and tricks that I've learned on Photoshop. Maybe you can apply that to your stream or maybe your stream overlays and stuff. And when I did that, I started getting a lot of people going, "Oh, can you teach me how to do that?" Because I kind of wanted to.
It's very useful, those tutorials that you guys make. It's so useful. Like watching, I think there's a popular guy that I follow, Harris Heller. He does more about like stream gear or stream hardware and OBS settings and how to do overlays and all those fun animation and stuff. Like I watch those tutorials and I'm like, wow, how much work goes behind the scenes. So when you guys put those tutorials together, it's so useful.
Yeah, I have people just like chilling in my stream, just watching me create stuff. I ran some competitions, which I've given away free designs, to winners and stuff like that. And I combined it with, some sort of little mini Tekken tournament that I ran. I'm like, okay, the winners of first, second, and third will get like, I don't know, an entire new stream overlay, of their choice. Just tell me. Yeah, so I done that as a prize, and then that's awesome. That was really received quite well. And then instead of like just me doing them and then just sending them off, I kind of like walked them through the process of how that works. So I kind of like designed it from scratch. It kind of built, streamed myself, just putting it all together, and then watching their creation, come to life slowly. Do you get what I mean? And then once they receive it, it feels like, an actual thing that they can be proud of. There's something that they've won and something that I've created as well. So that was something that was received quite well. Unfortunately, I'm just, I just not had the time to stream as much as I want to, because I'm so busy with work, with my day job, and I'm also so busy with the UIU work as well. So at the moment I'm helping create other people's content than my own. Do you get what I mean? I'm spending more time creating other people's content, and I'm also I get quite a few commissions as well. People actually commission me to work on their streams.
Your funny commission jobs.
Yeah. Oh, I always have funny stories. Oh, I'll tell you, like, working with gamers and influencers are a total different breed compared to a standard normal corporate business client. But working with gamers, there's always this sense of entitlement.
The mindset is just not there. I tell you that. So Jesse says rubbish about being too old for esports.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Do what you love. Tune out the naysayers. Ooh, very inspirational from Jesse. Hey, Kirsty, welcome back. What did you miss? You missed quite a lot, actually. You need to go back and watch this again. When you was going through your mental health stuff, bro, because you openly talked about this quite a few times now, so I know I can ask you this. How different has it been for you speaking about it in your family? Especially if you're Chinese circle friends as well.
I do feel like mental health isn't really well recognized in
our community.
In our community, within the Chinese family community, because like I think we are, we deal with tough parents. They kind of want to bring us up really strong, and I do feel like I don't know. I didn't quite feel comfortable talking about it to my parents at the time. Maybe because I didn't want to sort of let them down. I didn't want them to think that I needed help, because my parents, they worry a lot. They're the type of parents that really over worry, very protective. And I guess at that time, I just kind of wanted to deal with it on my own, which is why I didn't want to tell them. And I just felt like it just felt more comfortable just talking to a friend about it. But then again, like sometimes when you talk to a friend, they have their own point of view, or they're very one-sided, let's just say, from their own experiences. So they go through experiences and they tell you from their experience, and then somehow that will become your experience. And I kind of wanted an outside point of view, which is kind of why I decided to go into therapy. So I attended therapy for a year. And it's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made, because it's really opened my mind into things. And I have to say, like, when I tell some people about it, especially people within the Chinese community, that there's like massive raised eyebrows, like, oh, you take therapy? Are you fucking mental or something? You know what I mean? Sorry about the language.
No, at all, bro. What was the therapy sessions like, if you don't mind me asking?
Therapy sessions, let's just say that allows you to see things from a bird's eye point of view. So she's like my therapist. She wasn't there to tell me what the solution is to my problems. She basically helps me recognize that there's a problem and help me sort of see, like, think of ways to overcome them, if you get what I mean. Like, but that's down to me, to how I see it and how I recognize there is a problem, and what am I going to do about it. And I think for her, she asked very challenging questions. Let's say, I'm trying to think of a good example, actually. Can't think of it at the top of my head, but like, let's say a good example. Let's say like I'm struggling with someone sort of telling me that I'm no good. I'm not good at a particular thing, or something like that, or they no matter what I do, I can't please this person. Right. So I'll try as hard as I can, but I'm not pleasing this person, and it's bothering me. Yeah. So she says to me, "Okay, why does it bother you?" And I just said, because and I'll give her an answer, like, because I want that closure. I want this person or her to to accept me for who I am, see my accomplishments, see who I am, and like what I'm made of, and and the fact that they're always talking down on me and never seem to recognize that I'm doing these great things, it pisses me off. So why is it? Why is this person that's always trying to bring me down? And then, she'll ask questions like, why does this person matter? And then I'll say, well, because maybe it's a family member or maybe it's a friend. And so, well, is this person really a family member or a friend if he keeps talking down on you? And does it really matter what they think of you? And does just because that person thinks that your accomplishments don't mean anything, does that mean it doesn't mean anything? Does it actually mean anything? And then that's when it started. I started thinking like, okay, well, it means something to me. My accomplishments do mean something to me, and what I do in esports or whatever it is, whether design esports or whatnot, it means something to me because it's something that I'm passionate about. Obviously, this person doesn't. The only reason why this person doesn't understand it or doesn't want to acknowledge it is because the lack of understanding. Yeah. And why should I care about this person? It's not like I see this person every day. It's not like this person spends every day with me. So why do I really care? And then I came to the conclusion it was something to do with closure. Do you get what I mean? It's like it's getting that approval. Okay, once you have that approval of that person, then what then? Do you know what I mean? It's like, does that define your life? Does that actually really determine that, that's that? Would that be the end of it? And then what are you going to be striving for more? Are you going to try and get more approval of this person or whatever? And then it just boils down to understanding yourself. And I think I'm guilty of it. I'm really guilty of it. And I sometimes have to seek validation through other people. And then, through therapy, it's just kind of made me realize that, fuck these people, that I don't care about what these people think about me, whether they think I'm too old for gaming or whether they think my job is, might not be more creditable than a lawyer or a doctor or whatever. But to me, it means something, I stuck with it and, I made something for myself. My parents are proud of me. The people that matter are proud of me. So why do these people matter? So, and I think that it's coming to that mindset was really, really difficult for me because I've always had that competitiveness, and that's sort of evolved from my gaming as well. And I've always felt a bit competitive. Like I always had to feel like I've got something to prove. And then at the end of it all, it's like, you know what? I have nothing to prove. Why do I need to prove anything to them? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. As long as my family acknowledge me, as long as my close friends acknowledge and they know who I am and what I'm all about, then that's all that matters. Just focus on the people that actually bring positivity to your life rather than the people that are, having a detrimental or negative impact on your mental health. And getting rid of those people was hard at the beginning. But when I actually got rid of those people, when I don't even acknowledge those people, I just kind of completely fucked them off my life. My life just felt so much lighter, so much easier. It just felt a bit better. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, there we go.
Well done.
Yeah.
So, Spira Nick is here. Hey,
Spira Nick. Yeah, that's my good friend, Nicholas. He's been a good friend of mine within the esports group for such a long time. We go traveling together everywhere, by the way. Yeah.
Welcome, Nick. Great to have you here. And Kirsty, welcome back. Great advice. Fuck the haters. Did you ever get down to the root cause of what was causing your seek for validation, bro?
The root cause, I did, but it's quite a personal one, I would say. Yeah, I think right. Okay, so let's. I
don't know if you don't have to shout if you don't want to, but I was just wondering if you did get there. If you did get there, that's great.
Yeah, I would say it's not. Let's say okay, I'll put it this way, right? So I love my brother to pieces. I love my mum to pieces. But what I do know, or what I recognized is sometimes when I go to like a restaurant or something, with a bunch of family members or whatever, or like a lot of relatives are there, like at a Chinese restaurant or something. I know, like, I'm proud of my brother. Like he's a really good, really great guy. But sometimes I see my brother getting a lot of praise Do you know what I mean? Because he studied in Manchester Grammar. He's a very studious person. He's got like top grades and stuff like that. Very humble guy as well. Not to say he's a really good looking lad as well. He's taller than me. He's got all the good genes. Let's put it that way. Anyways, so and whenever like someone really compliments my brother, then obviously my mum's going to feel very proud of it. That my mum's going to be like, oh, yeah, that's my son. Do you know what I mean? But that's not the fault of my brother and my mum. That's the fault of the other people. That is a completely, so sucked into giving my brother and my mum, so much compliments about them too. I kind of felt a bit left out. Do you get what I mean? At that time, like I kind of felt, well, why am I not getting that same praise? And then what I came to realize is the the lack of understanding of what I do. It's not their fault per se. My mum and my brothers. It's all these other people that are just like, and that the Chinese people are all about wealth and status, right? And I think that's kind of came part of the the mental struggle, I suppose. It's like always wanting to please, always wanting to be up in that hierarchy or something. Like if I want to be respected, then I need to, be earning a lot of money. I need to be driving a fast car. Need to be, I don't know, hanging out with a bunch of certain people or whatever. And then it became quite toxic, that mindset. Do you know what I mean? And
oh yeah, absolutely, bro.
Yeah.
He was in that area. That's why I was asking if you did get to that cause, because like you, I also had that belief, right, from the family wise, from childhood. Like whatever I do never seemed to be enough. It was never good enough. It was never capable to do enough. Never have whatever it took to do what it takes, right? That's the mindset that I grew to live or believe in throughout the whole childhood. And obviously that was what drove me throughout the whole teenage to corporate, to graduating corporate and then working in organizations and stuff. And it was the whole need for recognition and approval. Like I was seeking that validation from my parents to make them feel proud, and so they could rave about me to their friends and family. I was like, who gives a shit, really? Like, fuck. I was killing myself because I was so eager to try and please them, to seek that recognition, which is why I gave up the whole pursuing gaming and all those stuff that I wanted to do, just to go climb this corporate ladder. And I was like, what a mistake.
Yeah, but you're doing it more for them than for yourself, right?
It was the whole journey. Whole journey, I was doing it for them.
Yeah,
like even studying, I was never academic. Never really enjoyed school. Was bullied a lot, so I never really enjoyed school.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
So when it came to college, it wasn't even A levels. It was an IT diploma because I was into technology and gadgets. So it was IT diploma, and then obviously at university it was multimedia design, filming, marketing, all the graphics, all the digital stuff, right? Which is what I'm doing now. So I was grateful for that. But even graduating was so that I could wear the four corner hat for my grandparents, my mom and dad, so they can take this picture of me of graduating, right? And then obviously I was pursuing that for them, and it wasn't like. I enjoyed it, I enjoyed that journey, the graduation and the people I met at university, probably like my lifelong friends so far. But as chasing that, like forever seeking validation until about that year when I got into corporate, when I got physically and mentally burnt out.
All right.
That was the point where I was like laying in what felt like my deathbed for like a month. Like I couldn't get out of bed. I was struggling to have the inspiration or motivation to even get out of bed. That was how bad it was. And that was when I was just like self-diagnosed depression.
How old were you then? I
was 27, about 26, 27. 26, actually. So I think it was a year just before I met you, I think. So about 6 years ago now. And that was when I was like in that area. I was like, this is not what I want to do. And then shortly afterwards, I started doing my own self-discovery process, which was when I met you. And I was doing more personal development work myself, but also more self-discovery work. So I was also going through the whole, what was causing my beliefs, what was causing all of these validations, approval, the emotions, the rage, the anger. I was going through the whole process of understanding who I was and what I was here to create in the world. So I was completely looking for like my purpose in a way, because I lost myself. I lost myself in that process of seeking validation from my parents. I lost myself in that process, so I had to find myself again. And obviously, now here I am doing what I do because of that. But that process was so horrible for me. I didn't I didn't go to professional therapy, but I went for more like self-awareness work. So more of a spiritual discovery, I would say.
And did that work out for you?
Sorry?
Did that work out for you?
Yeah, definitely did. Like all the stuff that I learned then is what I use now for my clients and my own process, right? But it's such a dark area, and that's why I wanted to help more of our community in mental health.
Yeah,
because when I started talking about this, no one wanted to hear about it. Like even to this date, like even our community, very, very small amount of people still talk about it openly, like me and you. Like there's a handful of us that probably talk about it, but there's obviously, we know more than a handful are suffering from it. They just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's really important to. I think when you sort of deal with it on your own, it's very, very difficult. You know, even just talking to someone, just one person, can make all that difference. And I know therapy is not accessible to everyone because you have to wait ages for the NHS, and sometimes some of them can be quite expensive. You know, not everyone can afford therapy.
Yeah, I think people don't admit to it though. That's the thing.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, I think that's one thing.
Like that was for me, right? I didn't want to admit myself that I had an issue, but I knew something had to change. So obviously, I did a different route, which was more of a personal development point of view. Was finding someone that taught more about alchemy and self-awareness, and more about super consciousness, and that was more of the spiritual woo-woo realm, which people don't really want to go into, but that's what worked for me. Like everyone's got their own process or their own thing that they prefer to go into. But I always knew self-awareness was something that I had, but lack of myself. More for other people. I had more compassion and empathy for other people. And I always like felt other people's emotions more. But I still didn't have that process to understand who I was. So that's when I took those 2 or 3 years to really find out who I am, what I'm here to do, where my emotions came from, where that beliefs come from, right? The whole seeking validation. Like I didn't even know where it came from until I did the processes and went back in the childhood memories and was like, I didn't, this belief was caused because my parents compared me to a lot of my cousins and my uncle. And so I always had to work hard to try and seek approval or validation from them. Yeah. Similar to you, right? There's a lot of comparisons. I think this is something that happens in a lot of Chinese families, right? It's not just us, but it's something that impacts our journey later on down the life without us knowing.
I agree.
And it's so toxic. I was just like, oh dear, like how bad is that? But it's not their fault of their own. It's because probably how they were raised or is what their circle talked about.
Yeah.
They always talked about other people's family, the other people's kids and comparisons. So Kirsty, just go through. Good looking. Has got a number for me?
I think he's spoken for actually, so yeah, you're a bit too late.
I think self-awareness is definitely very hard step for a lot of people to take. Yeah, absolutely. This is key for everyone. I suppose why people like Gary V. I'm not sure if you heard of him, bro.
Gary V, yeah, I heard of him.
Yeah, he's
Gary,
banging.
yeah, I can't even pronounce his second name. Vaynerchuk.
Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
He's always banging on about self-awareness, but even how much he bangs on about it, people still don't know what it is.
Yeah,
they still kind of wonder, like, oh, self-awareness is very important. It's like, do you actually know what it is? It's like, not really.
It's a hard thing to attain, to be honest with you. You know?
It is. It's not easy. Definitely not easy.
Yeah, definitely not.
Everyone is taken. How can you flirt when no one is single anymore?
Oh dear.
Kirsty, I'll find you some single people. Don't worry.
Go on Tinder or something. No.
Kirsty's one of my mentees as well. I've been coaching. Yeah. She's a streamer on Twitch.
Nice.
She's doing really well. So, how's everything else with you now then? Like,
yeah, everything's going well. Sold my house. I'm now living in an apartment in Manchester now, which is pretty good. You know, it's like my own space. You know, and actually, it's like a 2-bedroom apartment, but I just converted 1 bedroom into a gaming room now. So it's like, it's just like pure gaming. You know,
setup.
Yeah, like big PC and. Like, what am I going to do with another bed? You know, there's hardly anyone's going to be sleeping over anyway. So, you know, like, just like, you know, get rid of that bed, convert this into like a pure gaming room.
I think that's when I asked you if you had the spare room still, because my mate was looking.
No, I don't have a spare room. No. I just wanted my own personal space, you know, and
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, everything's going pretty well. So, you know, I think I tried to take try and turn 2020 you know, into a positive year. You know, obviously the first half was a bit of a struggle selling the house and stuff like that, but you know, things are starting to pick up again. You know, I've really started to focus on the you know, the stuff on UIU, my day job, and now I can focus more importantly on myself. And that's the main thing. And when you're constantly on edge, when you constantly got something to worry about, you know, when you're going through like, you know, a divorce, or when you're going through selling a house during a pandemic, there's always something to worry about. There's always something, yeah. You know, but, you know, now I feel like I can switch off a little bit. I can actually just relax, you know, and just focus on the things that are important to me, no one else, you know. But yeah, I recently got into a new relationship, which is also a great thing. Thanks. So
pleased
yeah,
for you, bro. Really pleased for you.
Yeah, so, all good. Yeah, everything's going pretty well, I would say.
Definitely pleased for you. When I saw that, I was like, yes, you deserve it, bro. Like you work so hard within your relationships and stuff, and everything that you do. So it's just like it's nice to see that you're getting the benefits of what you put out, because you're just such a decent guy, bro.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
it. You know, we've been chatting like the last few years, right, from Messenger and stuff, and I know what kind of guy you are and what you do, and especially what you spoke out about as well with mental health issues as well. It's like it's not easy. Like I felt like I was the only guy doing it in the community.
Yeah.
Like, it was like a breath of fresh air when you stepped up, and I was like, oh, yes. Like, well done, bro. Like, seriously, like, not many people talk about it, and that's something that I want to address more of. I think that's probably 2021. I may do a big push on more of that area for the community.
The community as a whole, or do you mean like just partly the Asian community? What do you say?
Both. Both. I think yes, the whole nation needs it, or the world needs it anyway. Everyone's doing their own thing, but I think pushing for the community, or our community, is probably a harder one. But we'll see. Let's see. JSC says, Asians, brown or yellow, is all about face. On the flip side, I've seen a lot of successful kids feel a shitload of pressure to stay on top or live up to heightened expectations.
That's true. Yeah, I did. This did come across my mind one time. Like, I remember I had a discussion with, let's say, my ex-partner's friend's husband at the time. So remember we had a meal one time. So he was sat opposite me. So while my ex-partner was talking to a friend, the husband decided to talk to me and says, "So, Esmond, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm a UX designer, and I'm also a designer within the esports space." And he was like, "Oh, interesting. Okay, okay. Have you thought about working for yourself rather than working for a big company?" And I sort of said, "I thought about it, but it's not really for me. I tried it. It's not really for me yet. I think I just need to work a few more years before I can get confident in establishing my own business. But in the meantime, I'm enjoying the position that I'm in." And then he's like, "Yeah, but I think it's more credible when you work for yourself, don't you think?" And I'm like, and I just sort of said, "Well, okay, so what's it that you do?" And then he's like, "Oh yeah, I work in the takeaway." And I was like, "Oh, brilliant! Is that your takeaway?" Or it's like, "Oh yeah, I inherited it of my mum and dad." And I was like, "Oh right, okay, nice." Do you know what I mean? Well, if that makes you happy, then brilliant, But then, and in my head, I was thinking, who are you to sort of tell me what defines success? Do you get what I mean? Like, who are you to tell me that? And then I just sort of said, okay, great. You work in a takeaway. It's something that you own it now. You inherited it off your parents, and it's something that you want to do. Great, good on you. Happy for you. But I just felt it was a little bit disrespectful when he just sort of questioned me, like, "Yeah, but wouldn't you want to work for yourself? Like, wouldn't it be more successful where you work for yourself, where you earn more money doing that? I don't understand why you want to work for a big company, that kind of thing." And it's just kind of like.
But the thing is, it doesn't sound like he's worked in his own big company if he's just inherited working in a takeaway, which is most.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to say that up front.
Which is what most of our generation inherit.
Yeah.
Even my cousins inherited theirs, but they sold it. Like, they didn't want to stay in it. They were like, "Nope, that's it. We're done working in the takeaway area. Like, we're having our own lives now. We do what we want to do." So
yeah,
everyone's success is different. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Just like Kirsty said, everyone has their own definition of success, right? So for my definition of success isn't always about the money. Like, great. If as long as I earn enough to make a living, to make provide for the people that I actually care for, then that's all that matters. As long as I have the time, time means a lot more than money to me. The clock is ticking every single day. Like every second, the clock is still ticking right now. Like, I can always get money back if I spend money. Whatever, fuck it. I can just put more hours in and go get that money back. But at the same time, I'm losing time doing that as well. So I think I'm more time precious than I am with money, because
you cherish quality time.
Yeah. I care more about the. Let's say if you had two gifts. Do you know what I mean? Like, whether it be something like I don't know. For example, let's say someone's giving me a supercar, or I have a choice to travel around the world. Do you know what I mean? I'll go for world every time, because I care more about the experiences than the actual monetary value of something. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I just feel that obviously time is. I keep saying this. It just keeps ticking. You're never going to get the time back. You can always make money back. That's the way I see it, anyways. And people might not agree. People may think like, "Oh, but money is success," or whatever. But I feel like if you're constantly working, if you're working many hours, it doesn't matter whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're whether you eat and sleep work every time, but if you're just putting work over everything else, over the people, over your social time, over the people you care about, then I just feel that's quite detrimental. Do you know what I mean? That that your focuses are in the wrong place. But also, like, if you keep working all the time, would you have the time to spend your money if you're constantly working?
That's exactly why I did in corporate.
Yeah.
Just worked and then had no time to spend it. It was like, where am I going with this?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I save and save and save, but I don't have any time to use it. I don't have the opportunity to use it at all.
Let's see what Jesse says. If you only lived a very narrow path where everything is guided for you, anyone who is peer walking will break your world, and then try to justify this by trying to break your world.
Can he speak English? Bloody hell, that's very deep. It's like, what?
Jesse's not normally that inspirational, motivational, which is why I'm very. Jesse, are you feeling okay? I've known him for many years. That's the thing. I've known him for like 10 years, more than 10 years, I think.
I think I met his cousin before in a Tekken tournament, believe it or not.
Well, he said he kind of knows your people.
Yeah.
He said lockdown has got me Warzone squadding up with Alan and Norman.
Alan and Norman, yeah, I know Alan and Norman.
So, assuming he knows your peeps.
Yeah, he knows some of my peeps.
Yeah, Jesse's not normally that inspirational, so hope you're feeling okay, bro. So
what's
deep.
What's he been eating? Well, yeah, I wonder what's he been eating.
So now that, what else was we going to talk about? Mental health, we covered gaming, esports. Your relationship life is great. You've now gone back to you've got your own place now, which is great. Is there anything I've missed out in this few years, bro? is that we're compacting a few years of conversation into one evening?
Yeah. No, I think we spoke about a lot already, really. Yeah. As I said, I think the main thing for me is to sort of just tell people. I think the main message for me is, like if everyone has their own demons to face. There's no shame in confronting them or admitting to them or recognizing them. And I really don't think you should feel ashamed of talking to someone about it either. And I think that was always the biggest, what can I say, the biggest obstacle for me was to own up to it and speak to someone, because there's always this thing in my head where I think no one cares because they got their own, shit to do about it. I really did think that. Honestly, I did
care, bro. I messaged you.
Yeah, no, I honestly did.
I had to make sure you was okay.
Yeah, no,
like,
no.
Seriously, I knew what you was going through because I went through that, and I was like, bro, like anything you need, just give me a shout.
Oh, cheers, man. But yeah, I've always felt like, well, I can't turn to people my own age because they're either married or they got kids, they got their own families to worry about, they've got their own shit to deal with. You know what I mean? The last thing I want to do is add my shit on top of theirs. Do you get what I'm saying? Which is why I don't burden them. And I don't want to tell my parents at the time, purely because I don't want them to worry. I don't want them to think I'm a failure in any way, that I can cope on my own, that I can make it on my own. That became a lot harder than anticipated, but I think things would have been a bit easier if I actually owned up to it and actually told them about it. Do you know what I mean? But I kind of felt proud that I didn't tell them and that I kind of dealt with it. You know what I mean? Which is really important.
The thing is, I don't think our parents really understand mental health as such.
Yeah, it's a challenging concept to the older generation. To be honest with you,
if it's the Western world, like the last 5 to 10 years to understand mental health.
God, I remembered my mum's reaction when I told her that I went to therapy. The eyebrows were just like, "What?" You know what I mean? Like, really? When? It's like, well, yeah, I went to therapy. I feel better now. And then she's like, oh, that was her reaction. It's just natural reaction. It's like, oh, okay. Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, Mom, I'm not. I don't have a mental illness or anything like that. I just needed some help. That's all. And I think that was quite difficult for her to grasp at the time. Do you know what I mean? It's like, It's you know, and I think like if you ever said that you went to therapy to someone that from the older generation, they'd probably be asking you like is there something wrong with you? Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
Well, yeah, there is some. Well, yeah, I have a few things going on, a few demons to face, but like, but it's almost like they have to have like some sort of medical term. You know what I mean? To sort of describe what's up with you. Like, oh, are you, have you
The
not
thing
with it
is,
or something?
I
Or
think they get confused with mental illness
yeah,
and mental health. Like there's two very different things, right?
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Like mental illness is actual thing,
Yeah.
whereas it's actual something that happens. Wow, conversation is going really weird. Curse, was it Jesse?
Let's talk about cyberpunk now.
Cover what you want to achieve by 40. That's a long goal. What else are they talking about? Jono, I'm all good. Just got my workout on still. It's 10:30, bro. Switch off. I don't think I ever told my parents anything to do with mental health. It's hard to approach a conversation, they basically deny. I don't think I'm ready for that basic rejection of a part of me.
Yeah, I think that is the hard bit, isn't it? Where you're dealing with your own stuff, and if someone's not recognizing it or rejecting it or literally saying, I think the worst thing to say to anyone, especially, if you're male, and then I hate this saying with a passion when they say "man up." It's seriously the worst thing. Anything like nothing worse than that, in my opinion. When you're going through stuff and you're dealing with a lot, you know what I mean? Like you have so much, so much baggage, and then someone just says to you, "Man up." It's just so counterproductive, and it's just dismissing everything that you are going through, and they're just telling you just to get over it, and it's not as simple as that, really. And as Kirsty said, toxic masculinity is a thing, and then I still go through some of it sometimes, and you know what, if anyone gives me toxic masculinity and they're like, oh, as you need to man up, I just tell them to do one, really.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, well, well, if you don't want to, you're supposed to be my friend, but if you're just going to tell me to man up, then well, next time I'm not going to tell you anything. Then, you know what I mean? So yeah, it is a terrible, terrible thing to say to anyone.
Especially when they're going through something.
It totally demasculates. It's like you're saying to you that you're not man enough to deal with your challenges, and just because you're dealing with some challenges doesn't make you less of a man than someone that isn't going through challenges. Do you know what I mean? I feel you're less of a man if you don't own up to things, that if you don't own up to having challenges. I think that makes you less of a man. But that's my personal opinion. Typical males may be against that. So what?
I 100% agree, bro, because I feel the way they don't take well, the thing, like you said, is avoiding responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Not owning up to their own shit. I mean, that for me is, already palming off responsibility. Like if you are, fully on taking responsibility, own it. So yeah, I do have stuff that I need to go through, or I do need some challenges, and do you need to take some time to fight through it? And I was like, fair enough. Like, we all have our own battles. Fair enough. Like, well done for standing up and going with it, right? Or at least confronting it, because the last thing you want to see is people, which is why most people go into like drugs and alcohol, right? Self-sabotage and avoiding reality.
Yeah.
They're numbing pain and avoiding reality.
Yeah, that is, as I said. Has anyone ever said that to you before?
What, man up?
Yeah.
Oh, plenty. And I think that's what also triggers the rage or anger inside me.
Yeah, but I think we all have that rage
But I think there's also pride, like the whole Asian man pride thing, like men don't cry and all those stuff, right?
Yeah.
All the sayings, like kids or men don't cry and stuff like that, and all that bollocks. I'm just like, what? Who came up with this kind of stuff? Like, seriously. like all these phrases and terms that they use in the Chinese vocab. I'm just like, it's so toxicating. And
yeah, I get there is this sort of perception that a man's supposed to be strong, supposed to be like, you know, the provider, you know, in a relationship, you know, they're supposed to be the one that's stable, you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, these are good qualities to have, but you know, at the end of the day, we're all human. You know what I mean? We all go through some form of emotions or you know, struggles of some sort. You know, it's just how we deal with them and how we recognize them is what makes us more of a man than just ignoring it and then just sort of like passing it off. And I think the worst kind of people is when they blame other things. You know what I mean? When they blame
shifting responsibility.
Yeah, when they're shifting, you know, like, oh, I'm this way because, you know, because of this.
Yes,
you know, yeah, I don't know.
See, I went serious for a second before you asked if I was okay.
Society overall is so toxic. Yeah, I agree. And I think when you look at technology these days, it's like nowadays everyone's not about being authentic anymore. It's almost like people are fighting for likes and fighting for you know, follows or validation and stuff like that. You know.
Oh yeah, this goes into the area of social dilemma.
Yeah, and I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it will depress me when I watch.
Yeah, I think it's a good again. It's a good awareness documentary. If you change your perspective into the way of seeing in a different view, so look from an outside perspective instead of a user perspective. I think that's a good way to approach it. Because I went in with a more of a research kind of perspective instead of sitting as a user. Then I got more of an insight in what was going on. So Kirsty says, the one thing that makes me angry as a woman is when I repeatedly get told I'm too intimidating to guys.
That's a good thing. That means you can stand up for yourself. Simple as that, really.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. So, like, if men are scared of you because you're able to stand up for yourself, then you know they're not the right guy for you, really. You know what I mean? So,
it takes more of a man to be able to show his emotions than one who tries to look tough. Yep, I used to be the one that tried to look tough.
I think we're all guilty of it. You know, no matter what, like, you know, no matter what people say, people actually say, "Oh, as you do, remember when you tried to act like a hard ass?" And I'm like, "Oh, come on, not like you never did that either." You know what I mean? I think everybody has. Every male person must have acted like some sort of hard ass or think they're harder than they actually are. To be honest with you, every male has, in my opinion.
It's just part of
it's just part of the learning process. It's part of growing up, isn't it? You know. But yeah, I remember trying to be tough and stuff like that, but no, it's not who I am. It's not me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good that knowing more about who you are and what you do now.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, what Jesse says.
I think there's a strong statement with that. Like, and my girlfriend actually taught me this. Actually, she actually said to me, like, no matter what you do, she said, no matter what you do, you're not gonna please everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are times where I get so frustrated, and I speak to my girlfriend, like, why does this guy never seem to, you know, no matter what great work I do, he's like never says one good comment about it. It's always like, yeah, okay, thanks. Do you know what I mean? But then she just says, like, no matter what, like, there are going to be people that are not going to be satisfied ever with you, no matter how hard you try. They're not going to be. And there are people like that in my life right now. You know what I mean? And I just kind of you know what? Fuck it. That's the way they are. You know what I mean? If they don't like it, then whatever. You know
or maybe they're just not good at giving compliments.
Yeah, exactly. They just don't
like
want
maybe in their life or in their journey, they never been complimented, so they don't know what it's like to give compliments.
Maybe
we don't know what their journey is like, right? It's this is something that I've learned over time as well. Is like we never know what, similar to like this is probably easier one. Our parents show us love by cooking us food, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but for me anyway, it's
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
it's
definitely.
communication, right? Their communication is always, "Have you eaten yet?" Or if you haven't eaten yet, they cook you like a free a meal for 4.
Yeah, my grandma does exactly the same.
That's how they show
I've not
love.
seen it. Yeah.
That's how they communicate. That's how they show love. It's because that was how our grandparents taught them love, or showing love through food or through cooking.
Yeah.
And they never had the same connection as we do nowadays. Like we're more intimate with our child or children, or more transparent in terms of our communication, right? Like back in their days, they're more about trying to get food on the table. They're either working in the farm or in the fields, just trying to put food on the table. So their way of showing love is through food. So they never really got time to hug their parents, spend time, quality time, or fun playing time with their parents. So they don't actually know how it's like to show love through intimacy. So they show it through food. But nowadays, or our generation, likes more of talking quality time, expressing our emotions, hugging, kisses, like that kind of connection, right? We want more of the deeper connection. But they never had deep connection with their parents.
Yeah.
So it's harder for them to show it that way because they never had it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Have you? How comfortable are you giving your mum a hug right now? Are you comfortable with it now, or does it feel awkward?
Feel awkward.
Does it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like even like kissing your mum on the forehead feels awkward. Like it shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
But it does. And I'm still overcoming this. Like expressing myself to my parents is still a challenge. Like that's something I've still finding, working towards overcoming, right? And I think I understood they don't have that connection with intimacy, or at least showing love through that way anyway. But what I can show is cooking for them. If I was to cook them a meal, they'd be really happy. Like if I made, I don't know, pizza, or made something, any Mexican food or something like that, tacos, and like, different form of cooking, wherever, they'd be really happy because I cooked for them. And that's just their way of receiving love is through cooking or through food. This is like such weird communication, but because I understood that they never had the same intimacy level with grandparents, so they don't know what it's like to so which is what I meant, like they peep your bosses or whoever you're working with, they probably never receive compliments from their higher ups or their bosses, or in their journey they don't know how to give it. Like that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I see what you mean there, because
so they never received it, or they don't know what's it like to give it. It doesn't mean they don't appreciate it. They probably deep down really love what you do and stuff. They just don't know how to express it because they don't know how.
Possibly, or they're just generally an arsehole, but we'll
Or
see.
generally just an arsehole, but I don't know, right? We don't. It's wrong to assume what they're like, but just giving that different perspective, that it could be a possibility.
Yeah. The same with my mum, really. Like I used to be quite awkward hugging my mum. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But I think after so much has happened over the last half a decade or whatever, me and my mum have no issues expressing our love for each other. I have no issues, giving my dad or my mum a hug when I go see them and stuff like that. It used to be quite awkward. It used to be like, what? No, like it kind of felt awkward for both of us. Do you get what I mean? But I think like once I grew older, it hasn't become much of an issue now. And I think because I think it's at that time where they're at that sort of stage where they kind of they don't see me as much now. They kind of let my
Yeah, it's
brother.
because you've moved out into yourself.
Yeah, we moved out. We became our own people. They don't see us as much. So when they do see us, and when we do see them, it becomes a very special time. Do you know what I mean? It's like because we hardly see each other. So that's why I think there's a lot more love being given. But obviously, when we lived together, it always felt a bit awkward.
Yeah,
but
I still live with my parents, so that's why. But I got a feeling that once I do move out with my fiance or whatever, I think that would probably happen when we don't see each other often. We probably appreciate it more.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, Nick says, I was shocked when my partner said he never hugged his parents.
Yeah, so he has I think he has a Chinese boyfriend, and Chinese boyfriend never hugs his parents apparently. So yeah, I think it's quite often. I don't it's quite often that like the people our age have awkwardness hugging their parents.
It's because our parents never had that same connection with their parents.
Yeah.
May or may not. Everyone's different, but for my parents, I know for sure it was because my grandparents always worked in a film or a farm. So they never had that time to play or connection time with their parents. So I get that.
So
but it's different for everyone. It's different.
Yeah. Did you have that awkwardness with your dad then as well?
Yeah. I mean, because they worked the whole my childhood. They were just working in someone's takeaway. So their hours were like 10:30. They would go to the takeaway. Then they'll come back at 2:00. Then I will finish school at 3:00. So I'll go home at 3:00. And then I'll see them until 4:30. And they start at 5:00. So then they drop me off to my cousin's house, who they just live nearby. And then I went see them from 5 till 12 a.m. And obviously by then I'm already asleep. And then they carry me from my cousin's house into the car, asleep, back into the car, back home. And then I repeat my school day, which is 8, 8:30, goes to school. And it's like 5 days a week. I see that's how my lifestyle was for the whole childhood.
Right.
I never really spent time with my parents. Like even they have like a weekday off during the week or something. And I may go shopping with them or something like that.
What day is that?
Usually a Monday or
Monday. It's a Tuesday normally for us, but yeah, it's Tuesday.
Dad used to be a Monday, and then Mum was a Thursday, so they kind of like took turns.
Right.
But then it just changed that they worked like 6 days a week or something. But yeah, no, I never had the whole childhood connection with them. So even now, it's still awkward. Like our relationship is still awkward.
Sorry to hear that, man.
That's right. I've kind of like I've accepted it, so I'm cool with it. It's so strange. As a kid, I used to hug them every night before I went to bed, but it was like the older I got, the more alienated I felt. Until it got to the point I just felt weird showing them any affection. It's hard to show affection to people that basically know you less than other people in your life.
It's hard to show affection to people that basically know you less. Oh, okay.
So feel like the parents know her less than her actual friends.
Yeah, that doesn't sound.
It's like, I think you probably know more about me than a lot of my parents would have known. Because you've gone through the same journey.
Yeah.
Right? Because of that journey that we shared, you would probably know me much more than they would. Same vice versa with some of my other friends. Like they don't know that side of me as you would have known my story.
It's kind of reassuring to know that there are people like us that are all that have been through the same journey or the similar experiences, I would say. So it's quite reassuring. I want to hug you guys though. Oh, okay.
You're not alone, bro. You're not alone.
Yeah.
This is nature versus nurture. Mimi is super close to her parents, and they were traditional Asian roots. Yeah, it's all different. That's what I'm saying. All families are different. Some families are more connection, more intimate. Some aren't. It just depends on the nature of the person, of the people as well, or personality. Kirsty, I want to hug you guys. All right, bro. I think we've kept you long enough.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate your time and everything that you've shared with us. It's been very helpful, and it's great to see you on your feet again.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Jono.
Properly. Not just on Messenger, firing back a few messages here and there.
Yeah. Thanks for all the viewers as well, and thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you. Friday night, late chat show, Love and Relationships. So make sure you tune in on 9:30 again. So
and
thank you again.
For that one?
Sorry?
How many guests have you got for that one?
Well, normally we have love and relationship coach Dilara on, and also my business partner Ik. And then we normally, actually Friday, we do have Robin Bates from Coaching for Geeks, which will be sharing more about LGBT relationships.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
So that's a good one. That'll be an interesting topic. Something that I've always wanted to know more about is the LGBT relationship, love and relationships in that area as well. So that'd be good. So have a great night, everyone, and I'll see you another week. Thank you, Esmond, again for your time.
Thank you, everyone. Take care and good night.
Peace out.